transformed Gilbert and Sullivan pieces. I'm not sure why, because it is totally delightful. It has just about everything anyone could want. There's political satire, there is love, there is deep emotion, there are fairies. So it's all pretty great. But for those of you who are not familiar with this story, which, you know, you may not be, or maybe you've forgotten, 25 years prior to the opening of the action you are going to see, a certain fairy named Iolanthe made the terrible mistake of falling in love with and marrying a mortal. Not only that, she had a son with him, but she was banished by the Queen of the Fairies because it is totally against fairy law for a fairy to marry a mortal. So she's been banished for the last 25 years. Her son, Strephon, has been, rollicking around being a shepherd. And in the course of so doing, he has fallen in love with a shepherdess. Pretty appropriate. Unfortunately, this shepherdess is a ward of Chancery, a ward of the courts. And the Chancellor, who is, well, he's actually kind of, her guardian, sort of has the hots for her. So do all of the other lords in the House of Lords. But she rejects them all because her heart has been given to Strephon. Well, at the opening of this play, Iolanthe, the fairy who's been banished for 25 years, is summoned back by the fairy queen who decides to pardon her. And this is lovely. She can be with her fairy sisters again, and she can associate a little more freely with her son. She's been spending the last 25 years at the bottom of the swamp with a lot of frogs. Anyway, this is all very happy. She's excited to hear that her son has decided to go ahead and marry this girl, even though he hasn't really gotten permission from the Lord Chancellor, who also wants to marry her. And all is very well until Strephon finds out that no, he absolutely is not going to be given permission to marry this girl, at which point he is extremely upset and weeping. He thinks it was going to be his wedding day, and no, all his hopes have been dashed. And his mother, Iolanthe, comes to comfort him. Now this is where the story gets interesting, because Iolanthe, although she's been at the bottom of a swamp for 25 years, she's a fairy. She has not aged a bit. She looks 17. So there she is comforting her son, and guess who catches them at it? Any guesses?
Shepherd.
The shepherdess. Oh my gosh, she's horrified. Her sweetheart, her fiancé, she thought, is hanging out with this pretty little 17-year-old. So she's very upset. She goes to the lords and she says, I don't care, I'm not going to marry him. He's two-faced, I'm going to marry one of you. Whoever's the richest, fine. At which point, Strephon is very upset. Oh my goodness, this is not right. She's my mother, you should understand that. Anyway, there's a whole difficult scene. But the fairies come to Strephon's rescue. And I think maybe I will let the rest of the play unfold. I think you sort of have the gist of it. But I just want to say, I wrote this out because I didn't want to get a word of it wrong. I was reading in a book, there are many books about Gilbert and Sullivan, and this particular book says of Iolanthe, it is so thoroughly entertaining, both in libretto and music, that absolute genius in tastelessness would be required to make it dull. I don't think you need to worry about that. There might have been other listnesses at work here, but not tastelessness.